Silence is not weakness, it is wisdom in action. When people insult you, they expect a reaction. They want to shake your peace, control your emotions, and pull you into their storm. But a wise person does not engage in every battle. They understand that dignity is not proven by words, but by composure. When you stay quiet after disrespect, you expose the ignorance of the one who offends you. You deny them the satisfaction of seeing you disturbed. A fool speaks to provoke. The wise remain still, knowing that silence can be louder than any argument. Silence is a sign of wisdom, not weakness. It is often misunderstood in a world that values loud voices and immediate reactions. Many believe that staying quiet in the face of disrespect is a form of surrender, a sign of fear, or an admission of defeat. But true wisdom understands that silence is not about submission, it is about control. It is about refusing to let someone else's actions dictate your behavior. Wisdom is the ability to discern when to speak and when to remain silent. It takes far more strength to hold back words than to unleash them in anger. People often react impulsively when they feel disrespected because they believe that responding forcefully will restore their dignity. However, the opposite is often true. Reacting emotionally plays into the hands of those who seek to provoke you. They want to see you flustered, defensive, and out of control. But when you remain silent, you show that their words or actions have no power over you. Silence is not a passive act, it is an active choice. It requires self-discipline, emotional intelligence, and a deep understanding of your own worth. When you choose silence, you are deciding not to waste energy on negativity. You are refusing to engage in meaningless battles that do not serve your purpose. The wise do not fight every battle, they choose the ones that matter. Disrespect often comes from a place of insecurity. People who insult or belittle others are often projecting their own fears, frustrations, and shortcomings. They seek validation through confrontation. They want to feel superior by bringing others down. When you remain silent, you deny them the reaction they crave. You refuse to validate their attempts to provoke you. This leaves them powerless, exposed, and often frustrated. There is a difference between silence and suppression. Suppression is when you hold back your voice out of fear, while wisdom-driven silence is a conscious choice. The wise do not stay quiet because they lack the words to say. They stay quiet because they understand that some words are not worth speaking. Not every accusation needs a defense. Not every insult needs a response. True wisdom knows that dignity is maintained through restraint, not retaliation. Many of the greatest leaders, thinkers, and visionaries throughout history understood the power of silence. They knew that words carry weight, and once spoken, they cannot be taken back. They understood that silence can be a greater response than any argument. A well-timed pause, an unshaken demeanor, or a calm exit can leave a stronger impression than a heated reply. There is a quiet confidence in those who do not feel the need to defend themselves against every attack. Their presence alone commands respect. They do not need to prove their worth with words, because their actions, character, and composure speak for them. In contrast, those who constantly react, argue, and defend themselves often appear weak, insecure, and easily manipulated. Staying quiet after disrespect does not mean you ignore injustice or tolerate mistreatment indefinitely. It simply means that you understand the right way and time to respond. Not all battles are fought with words. Sometimes silence is the loudest statement you can make. It unsettles those who expect conflict and confuses those who seek attention. Silence allows room for reflection. Instead of reacting immediately, it gives you time to process the situation, analyze your emotions, and decide on a response that aligns with wisdom. Immediate reactions are often fueled by emotion rather than reason, leading to regretful words and unnecessary conflicts. When you stay quiet, you create space for clarity, allowing you to respond from a place of strength rather than impulse. The ability to remain silent in the face of provocation is a sign of emotional mastery. It demonstrates that you are in control of yourself rather than being controlled by circumstances or people. This is what sets the wise apart from the foolish. It is easy to lash out, to defend, to retaliate. But it takes deep self-awareness and strength to hold back, to observe, and to move forward without being shaken. A wise person does not need to announce their strength. It is felt in their presence. Their silence carries a weight that words often fail to hold. They do not let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions. They do not engage in unnecessary conflicts or entertain meaningless provocations. They understand that energy is precious and that not every battle is worth fighting. Silence in response to disrespect is not about weakness, but about knowing your worth. It is about understanding that your value is not dependent on another person's opinion or behavior. It is about standing firm in confidence, unshaken by negativity, and choosing peace over pointless confrontation. Disrespect seeks a reaction, don't give it power. When someone disrespects you, they are often looking for a specific response. They want to see frustration, anger, or defensiveness because it gives them control over your emotions. The moment you react, you hand them power over your state of mind. They dictate your behavior, and you fall into the trap of playing their game. Disrespect is a test, whether intentional or not. People use words, attitudes, and actions to provoke, to gauge your limits, or to affirm their own sense of superiority. If they succeed in making you react negatively, they feel validated. They believe they have exposed a weakness in you. But when you remain composed, when you refuse to let their words shake you, they are left with nothing to hold on to. They are forced to confront their own insecurities, their own lack of control. Power lies not in how loudly you speak, but in how well you control your response. Many people believe that responding immediately to disrespect is a sign of strength, that standing up for oneself means matching aggression with aggression. But true power is found in restraint. The ability to remain unmoved by petty attacks is a sign of self-mastery. It shows that you are not controlled by the emotions of the moment, but by a deeper understanding of your own value. When you react to disrespect, you feed it. It grows because it has received attention. It escalates because energy has been given to it. The more you engage, the more you alienate the one who disrespects you. They see that they can influence you, that their words or actions have the ability to dictate your emotions. This only encourages them to continue, but when you choose not to react, the cycle is broken. You deny them the fuel they need to keep going. People who disrespect others often do so from a place of insecurity. They seek control, affirmation, or a sense of importance. When they belittle, insult, or provoke, it is often a reflection of their own inner struggles rather than a true assessment of your worth. Their words and actions say more about them than they do about you. When you refuse to react, you expose this truth. You force them to deal with their own issues rather than dragging yourself into unnecessary conflict. There is a difference between silence and avoidance. Avoidance is fear-driven. It comes from a place of uncertainty or a lack of confidence. Silence, when chosen intentionally, is an act of strength. It is a declaration that you will not be manipulated into reacting on someone else's terms. It is the ability to stand firm in your own sense of worth without needing to prove it through words or emotions. Not every battle is worth fighting. There are moments when words are necessary, when boundaries must be set, and when disrespect must be addressed. But the key is knowing when and how to respond. Immediate reactions are often emotional, clouded by frustration or ego. They rarely lead to productive outcomes, but a well-thought-out response, given at the right time, carries far more weight. The ability to control your response is what separates the wise from the impulsive. Wisdom understands that dignity is not proven through verbal battles, but through a steady, unshaken presence. Strength is not in how forcefully you speak, but in how little you allow external forces to disturb your inner peace. Those who react quickly often regret their words later, while those who pause, reflect, and choose their response carefully maintain their power. Many times, the best response to disrespect is to carry on unaffected. When people see that their words do not impact you, that their attempts to shake you are unsuccessful, they lose interest. They realize that they have no influence over you, and in time they move on. This is the power of not giving disrespect the attention it craves. Self-control is a discipline that must be developed. It requires patience, awareness, and a commitment to maintaining inner peace. It is easy to react, to fire back with words, to defend oneself in the heat of the moment. But it takes wisdom to hold back, to recognize that some battles are won not by engaging, but by refusing to be pulled into unnecessary conflict. Your energy is valuable, and where you direct it matters. When you engage with negativity, you feed it. When you respond to disrespect, you acknowledge it as worthy of your attention. But when you stay focused on what truly matters, when you refuse to be distracted by unnecessary conflicts, you preserve your strength for things that truly deserve it. Composure exposes the ignorance of the offender. When someone disrespects you, their goal is often to provoke a reaction. They expect frustration, anger, or defensiveness because they want to feel in control. But when you remain composed, when you refuse to engage in their negativity, you reveal their own lack of wisdom. You show that their words hold no power over you, and in doing so, you make their actions look foolish. Ignorance thrives on conflict. People who speak or act disrespectfully often do so without understanding the weight of their words. They lash out impulsively, seeking to hurt or belittle, without realizing that their behavior reflects their own insecurities. A wise person does not allow ignorance to pull them into unnecessary disputes. Instead, they remain calm, knowing that dignity is not maintained through argument, but through self-control. Disrespect is often a sign of a lack of understanding. Many people insult or demean others because they do not take the time to listen, to learn, or to consider perspectives beyond their own. They assume that their opinions are absolute and that their judgments are final. But when you remain composed, you disrupt their assumptions. You show that their words do not define reality, and you expose their limited thinking. Composure is not just silence, it is a display of inner strength. It is the ability to stand firm in your values without being swayed by external negativity. People who are quick to react reveal their own lack of control, while those who maintain their peace show a deeper level of understanding. When you remain composed in the face of disrespect, you highlight the immaturity of the one who tries to provoke you. A person who is easily provoked shows their weakness. They reveal that their emotions can be manipulated, that their peace can be stolen with a few harsh words. But a composed individual remains steady regardless of the situation. Their calmness speaks louder than any argument. It forces the offender to face the reality that their efforts to disrupt have failed. Ignorance feeds on attention. When people are disrespectful, they often seek validation through confrontation. They want their words to carry weight, to stir up emotions, to create drama. But when you refuse to engage, you take away their source of power. You leave them standing alone with their ignorance, with no reaction to fuel their behavior. This is why composure is one of the most powerful responses to disrespect. Many people believe that responding forcefully to disrespect is a sign of strength, but true strength is found in restraint. It is easy to react impulsively, to raise your voice, to try to prove a point, but it takes deep wisdom to remain unshaken. Those who understand this recognize that composure is not about ignoring problems. It is about addressing them in the right way, at the right time, with the right mindset. People who lack wisdom often misunderstand composure. They mistake it for passivity, assuming that a person who does not react must not care. But in reality, composure is an intentional choice. It is a decision to prioritize peace over petty conflicts, to value dignity over temporary victories. The ability to remain composed in difficult situations is a sign of maturity and wisdom. Ignorance is loud, but wisdom is steady. A person who speaks without thinking, who acts without consideration, will always be exposed in the presence of someone who remains calm. The more a person tries to provoke and the less they receive in return, the more their ignorance becomes apparent. A wise person understands this and does not feel the need to match negativity with more negativity. The greatest leaders and thinkers throughout history have understood the value of composure. They knew that a calm presence in the face of adversity commands more respect than a heated reaction. They knew that people remember those who remain steady in difficult moments, who do not let the ignorance of others dictate their own behavior. Their ability to remain composed set them apart and made their influence lasting. It takes wisdom to recognize that not every battle is worth fighting. Some arguments are traps designed to pull you into a cycle of negativity. Some insults are empty words meant to test your patience. The one who can remain calm in such moments proves that they are in control not just of the situation but of themselves. Those who react impulsively often regret their words, but those who choose composure never have to take back what they did not say. Disrespectful people often believe they are in control when they provoke a reaction, but in reality, they expose their own lack of understanding. They reveal their inability to communicate with wisdom, to navigate conflict with maturity, to handle differences with respect. When you remain composed, you show the contrast between wisdom and ignorance. You let your silence highlight the foolishness of unnecessary conflict. You prove that dignity is not won through arguments, but through the ability to rise above them. A fool speaks to provoke, the wise remain still. There are people who thrive on stirring up conflict, who take pleasure in pushing buttons and testing limits. Their words are not meant to build but to break, not meant to uplift but to pull down. They seek reactions, not resolutions. When they speak, it is not from a place of wisdom, but from a place of insecurity, immaturity, or a desire for control. They hope to unsettle, to offend, to draw others into pointless arguments where no one truly wins. The wise understand this and choose a different approach. They know that not every comment needs a response, not every insult deserves attention, and not every battle is worth fighting. Silence in the face of provocation is not a sign of weakness, but a mark of strength. It shows a deep understanding of what is truly important and a refusal to be pulled into negativity. Fools use words carelessly, throwing them around without consideration of their impact. They speak out of emotion, reacting rather than thinking, allowing their words to control the atmosphere around them. Their goal is not to solve problems, but to create them. They do not seek clarity, but confusion. They do not bring peace, but division. The wise, however, recognize the emptiness behind such words. They do not allow the noise of foolishness to disturb their peace. Wisdom is found in restraint. Many believe that responding immediately to disrespect proves strength, but true power is in knowing when to stay silent. The wise person observes before they speak, thinks before they act, and remains still when others expect them to react. They understand that an argument with a fool leads nowhere. No amount of reasoning can change a mind that refuses to listen, and no level of explanation can satisfy someone whose goal is to provoke. Fools crave attention. They look for reactions because it gives them a sense of importance. When they see that their words can influence another person's emotions, they feel powerful. But when they are met with stillness, with silence, with an unshaken presence, they are forced to confront their own insignificance. They realize that their words hold no weight, that their efforts to provoke have failed. This is why the wise remain still. They do not grant the fool the satisfaction of control. Stillness does not mean passivity. It is not about ignoring problems or avoiding necessary conversations. It is about choosing battles wisely, about knowing when engagement is productive and when it is pointless. It is about understanding that silence can be the strongest response, the most unsettling answer, and the greatest demonstration of self-control. There is power in stillness. When someone tries to provoke, they expect resistance, retaliation, or an emotional outburst. When they are met with calmness, they are caught off guard. They do not know how to proceed because their plan has failed. They were prepared for a reaction, but they were not prepared for composure. This is why the wise remain still. It disarms the aggressor and exposes the foolishness of their words. A fool cannot stand silence. They rely on chaos, on stirring emotions, on drawing people into senseless disputes. They find satisfaction in argument, but when there is no argument to be had, they are left empty. They must either reconsider their actions or walk away. Either way, the one who remains still has already won. The wise understand that their peace is too valuable to be given away freely. They do not allow the words of a fool to disrupt their focus, their energy, or their purpose. They know that their strength is not improving themselves through debate, but in maintaining their composure. They do not waste time defending what does not need defending. They do not fight battles that lead nowhere. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and visionaries throughout history have demonstrated this wisdom. They knew that their presence alone spoke louder than any unnecessary argument. They understood that fools would always be loud, but that did not mean they needed to respond. They remained still, allowing time and truth to reveal what words could not. When a fool speaks to provoke, they expect to be met with resistance. They expect to be acknowledged, engaged, and entertained. But when they are met with stillness, they are faced with their own foolishness. The wise do not grant them that satisfaction. They understand that not every voice deserves a response, not every insult requires defense, and not every argument is worth the energy. Your value is not defined by others' words. Many people spend their lives reacting to the opinions of others, allowing criticism, insults, and disrespect to shape their self-perception. They seek validation from the outside world, believing that their worth is determined by how others see them. But wisdom teaches that true value is not given by people, and it is certainly not taken away by their words. What someone says about you is a reflection of them, not a measurement of your worth. Disrespectful words often come from a place of insecurity, ignorance, or personal frustration. People project their own issues onto others, using criticism as a way to elevate themselves or hide their own shortcomings. A person who belittles others is often struggling with their own self-worth, seeking to bring others down in an attempt to feel superior. But their words do not define reality. Just because someone calls you weak does not make you weak. Just because someone speaks against you does not mean their words hold truth. Many people react to disrespect because they believe they must prove themselves. They think that by arguing, defending, or responding, they can correct the false perception others have of them. But wisdom understands that true worth is not proven through words, it is demonstrated through character. When you remain unshaken by negativity, you show that your confidence is not dependent on approval or validation. You make it clear that your value is already established and no insult can change that. The moment you allow someone else's words to dictate your emotions, you give them power over you. You surrender control, letting their negativity influence your state of mind. But when you refuse to react, when you stand firm in your own understanding of who you are, you take that power back. You declare that your identity is not subject to the opinions of others. You decide that their words will not disturb your peace. The wisest and strongest people in history did not waste time responding to every insult thrown their way. They understood that the opinions of others were fleeting, that respect from the world is inconsistent, and that chasing approval is a never-ending cycle. They focused on their purpose, on their vision, on their growth. They let their actions speak louder than any words. They knew that people's judgments often change, but true character remains steady. Disrespect is a test. It challenges whether you truly know your own worth or if you are dependent on the validation of others. When someone speaks against you, do you waver? Do you second-guess yourself? Do you allow their words to dictate your response? Or do you remain steady, unmoved by temporary opinions, confident in your own identity? The way you respond reveals whether your sense of worth is rooted in external validation or internal assurance. People will always have something to say. No matter how well you live, how much you achieve, or how good your intentions are, there will always be those who criticize, who misunderstand, who judge without knowing the full truth. If you spend your life trying to fight every false word, you will exhaust yourself in battles that do not matter. But if you focus on living with integrity, staying true to your purpose, and maintaining your peace, you will find that their words lose their power over you. Your value is not up for debate, is not determined by popular opinion, by the insults of critics, or by the misunderstanding of those who refuse to see the truth. Those who do not recognize your worth are not qualified to define it. A diamond does not lose its value because someone calls it a rock. Gold does not become worthless because someone fails to see its worth. In the same way, your value remains unchanged regardless of what others say. Many people spend their lives trying to prove themselves to those who do not even matter in the grand scheme of their purpose. They allow the fear of judgment to hold them back, the sting of criticism to stop them from moving forward. But those who understand their worth do not waste time in such distractions. They move with confidence, unaffected by the noise around them. They know that their destiny is not tied to the opinions of the crowd, but to the truth they carry within. Reactions give weight to words. When you react emotionally to an insult, you validate it, giving it significance it does not deserve. But when you remain silent, when you refuse to engage, when you continue forward as if their words were never spoken, you strip them of their power. You show that your identity is not something that can be shaken by mere words. The world is filled with voices, some encouraging, some discouraging, some uplifting, some destructive. But the only voice that truly matters is the one that comes from within. When you know who you are, no amount of disrespect can shake that foundation. When you are confident in your value, you do not need to fight for recognition. You do not need to respond to every insult. You do not need to prove anything to anyone. You simply live knowing that your worth was never in their hands to begin with. Silence forces the offender to confront themselves. When someone disrespects you, they expect a reaction. They anticipate anger, frustration, or an emotional response that validates their attempt to provoke you. They want to feel powerful, to see that their words or actions have had an effect. But when you remain silent, when you do not give them the reaction they seek, you disrupt their expectations. You leave them alone with their own words, forcing them to reflect on their behavior in a way that an argument never could. People who insult or belittle others often do so as a form of self-projection. They externalize their own insecurities and frustrations, directing them at someone else in order to avoid facing them within themselves. They rely on conflict to distract from their own inner struggles, but when you do not engage, you take away the distraction. You remove the noise that allows them to avoid looking inward. Your silence creates a void that they are left to fill with their own thoughts. This is why silence is one of the most powerful responses to disrespect. It places the weight of the moment entirely on the other person. When there is no response, no argument, no resistance, they are left to deal with their own emotions, their own negativity, their own misguided intentions. Many times this leads to self-reflection. They may begin to question their own words, wondering why they felt the need to speak in such a way. They may recognize their own immaturity or lack of wisdom. They may feel the discomfort of their own actions in a way they never expected. Silence exposes the truth. In an argument, emotions run high and people often speak without thinking. But when one person refuses to engage, the true nature of the situation becomes clear. It is no longer a battle between two people. It is a display of character. The one who remains calm, who does not react, who does not allow themselves to be pulled into negativity, reveals a level of maturity and wisdom that cannot be ignored. The one who lashes out, who provokes, who tries to stir conflict, exposes their own lack of self-control. A person who constantly seeks conflict does not expect stillness. They are used to seeing people react, to seeing their words create chaos, to feeling as though they have control over the emotions of others. But when they encounter someone who does not respond in the way they anticipated, they are thrown off balance. They are left wondering why their usual tactics did not work, why their insults did not provoke anger, why their attempt to create division was met with peace. This moment of confusion is where transformation often begins. Some people, when faced with silence, will choose to walk away, frustrated that they did not receive the reaction they wanted. But others will take that moment to reflect. They will begin to recognize their own behavior for what it is, a sign of insecurity, immaturity, or unresolved issues. They will see that their words were unnecessary, that their attempt to hurt or control was misplaced. And in some cases, this realization will lead to growth. This is why the wisest individuals do not waste energy on unnecessary battles. They understand that the best way to change a person is not through argument, but through example. They do not need to prove themselves through words because their actions speak for them. They know that silence can be louder than any response, more powerful than any comeback, more effective than any debate. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect, you take away the offender's sense of control. You show them that their words have no power over you. You communicate without speaking, that their attempts to disrupt your peace have failed. This realization can be unsettling for them. It can force them to confront the fact that they cannot manipulate or dictate the emotions of others as easily as they thought. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and influencers in history have understood this principle. They knew that engaging in every argument was a waste of time and energy. They knew that their purpose was too great to be derailed by meaningless disputes. They chose silence not because they were weak, but because they were strong enough to let time reveal the truth. They understood that those who seek to provoke will eventually expose themselves, that those who try to create division will ultimately be seen for who they are, and that the best response to foolishness is often no response at all. People remember how you carry yourself in difficult moments. They may not recall every word spoken in an argument, but they will remember the person who remained calm, who did not lower themselves to the level of insult and disrespect, who handled adversity with dignity. This is why silence is so powerful. It leaves a lasting impression, one that speaks to strength, confidence, and wisdom. When you refuse to react, you shift the focus. Instead of the situation becoming about your response, it becomes about their actions. The spotlight moves away from you and onto them. They are left to deal with the weight of their own behavior, to reflect on why they felt the need to be disrespectful in the first place. And in that moment, they are given an opportunity to grow, to change, to become more aware of the impact of their words. Self-control is the mark of true strength. Many believe that power is shown through dominance, through loudness, through the ability to out-argue or overpower others. But real strength is not found in reaction, it is found in restraint. The ability to hold back when provoked, to remain composed in the face of disrespect, to choose silence instead of retaliation is a sign of inner mastery. It takes far more strength to walk away from a pointless battle than to engage in one. It requires a level of discipline that few possess. When a person lacks self-control, they are easily manipulated. Their emotions dictate their actions, and anyone who understands their triggers can pull them into conflict at will. They become predictable, easily provoked, and ultimately controlled by those who seek to disturb their peace. But when a person has mastered themselves, when they are not swayed by insults or emotional attacks, they become untouchable. No one can force them into unnecessary conflict. No one can dictate their reactions. They move on their own terms, unaffected by the distractions around them. Self-control is not a sign of weakness, it is a demonstration of power. It shows that you are not a slave to your emotions, that you are not driven by impulse, that you have the discipline to choose your response rather than allowing others to choose it for you. People who lack self-control believe that responding immediately is a sign of strength, but those who understand true power know that the ability to remain calm, to stay silent, to walk away is far more effective. The strongest individuals are those who can maintain their focus regardless of what others say or do. They do not waste their time defending themselves against baseless accusations. They do not lower themselves to the level of those who provoke. They understand that their energy is too valuable to be spent on people who do not have their best interests at heart. They refuse to let someone else's negativity disrupt their peace. There will always be people who try to test your self-control. They will insult, provoke, and attempt to pull you into their chaos. They do this because they lack control over themselves, and they want to see if they can control you instead. When you react, you validate their power. You show them that their words have an effect on you. But when you remain calm, when you refuse to be drawn into their negativity, you take that power away from them. You prove that you are in control of yourself, that your emotions are not at the mercy of others, that your strength is rooted in discipline rather than reaction. A person who can remain silent when disrespected is a person who understands the bigger picture. They do not allow a temporary moment of conflict to distract them from their long-term goals. They do not let petty arguments pull them away from their greater purpose. They recognize that their future is far more important than winning a meaningless exchange of words. They choose to preserve their peace rather than destroy it over something that does not matter. When you react to disrespect, you put yourself on the same level as the person who insulted you. You enter their world playing by their rules, engaging in their negativity. But when you refuse to respond, you remain above it. You show that you are operating on a different level, one where emotions do not dictate actions, where discipline overrides impulse, where self-mastery is more valuable than temporary satisfaction. People who lack self-control are ruled by their emotions. They react without thinking, allowing anger or frustration to dictate their words and actions. But those who have mastered themselves do not allow emotions to drive them. They take a step back, evaluate the situation, and make decisions based on wisdom rather than impulse. They do not speak just because they feel like it. They speak when it is necessary, when it serves a purpose, when it adds value. Self-control is what separates the wise from the foolish. The foolish are quick to argue, quick to defend, quick to react. They believe that every insult demands a response, that every challenge must be met with resistance. But the wise understand that silence is often the greatest answer. They know that some battles are not worth fighting, that some words are not worth acknowledging, that some people are not worth engaging. They do not waste their energy proving themselves to those who do not matter. There is a great sense of freedom that comes with self-control. When you are no longer controlled by the opinions or actions of others, you become unstoppable. No one can shake your peace. No one can manipulate your emotions. No one can draw you into conflicts that do not serve you. You move through life with a sense of confidence and purpose, unaffected by the noise around you. You are in control of yourself, and that is the greatest power you can possess. The world teaches that strength is shown through force, through retaliation, through proving oneself in every conflict. But true strength is found in restraint. It is found in the ability to walk away from what does not serve you. It is found in the wisdom to choose silence over senseless arguments. It is found in the discipline to master your emotions instead of allowing them to master you. It is found in the understanding that not every battle is worth fighting, not every insult is worth addressing, not every attack is worth acknowledging.